Folks, it is Sunday, April 2nd, 2017. Rich Van Tassel back with you with the Celtics report. Nice, easy game for the Celtics today against the Knicks, winning by 16. They were up by as many as 26 in the fourth quarter. Obviously, some garbage time brought the margin down just a bit, but the Celtics now got their 50th win. They don't have many of these easy victories, and I was a little concerned with this with some of their Sunday struggles, especially against poor teams early in the day as well. They were making note during the game how the crowd really wasn't into it. I think, the Celtics, even though I'm sure there were a lot of Celtics fans in attendance today, that often plays a role. I think that contributed to some of the things. If the crowd's not necessarily excited, you shouldn't have that as professionals, but, I understand where it comes from. It gets tough to move on, but still maintaining first in the East. They've swelled up to a game now in that advantage. Cleveland plays later against Indiana. That's going to be interesting. Indiana is definitely struggling, but they are desperate, so we'll see what happens. It's in Cleveland, but certainly you would expect the Cavaliers to win that game. Cleveland has one more after this game against the Pacers. Before that game Wednesday against the Celtics. The Celtics are done until then. So they get some serious time off, 2 days. They can work on some things, maybe take time off. Don't know exactly how they'll play it. But then on Tuesday they play Orlando. So you would have to assume that the Cavaliers are going to be tied by the time that comes because Orlando's a bad team. The Celtics game, of course, is the second night of a back-to-back. So by the time the Cavaliers play that'll be their third game in, 4 nights. The Celtics played today and then 2 days off, so it'll only be their second game in 4 days and had an easy victory today. So that's good in that regard for the Celtics. But that game will come when it comes. One big thing I noticed in today's game, the bench played a lot better. We talked about last week how they could struggle at times, allow teams to get back in it, not be able to find their offense here and there. They were able to do so here. They kept the margin, considerable. The Celtics were, beating the Knicks pretty badly, as you should, for most of the game today, and the bench didn't allow the Knicks to get back into it and cause things, make things interesting and allow a team to get rhythm. We talked about the 76ers game when the 76ers were able to get back into it and the Celtics ended up losing, so the bench was good in that regard. Al Horford, very good today. A lot more aggressive on the offensive end, 6 for 9. I'd like to see him take at least 10 shots a game. He had 9 shots for most of the game the other night against Orlando. That was a nice victory to hold on to that one. I wanted them to sweep the week. They didn't lose that game to Milwaukee over the past week. Milwaukee is a hot team. It's tough to lose at home, but you had Milwaukee on the second night of back-to-back, but that is, not even close to being one of their worst losses of the season. I don't even consider that a bad loss the way the Bucks have been playing. But, Horford, that's what I want to see. A few more shots. Sometimes he's not hitting them. If he's not hitting them, then maybe tone it down. But, he had the matchups today against Gomez. So when he has those matchups, he's got to take it and be more aggressive, and especially come playoff time. Jay Crowder, only 8 points, wasn't shooting too well. Again, not many minutes. No one, I think, went over 30. None of the starters did. Only Jaylen Brown, or no, Crowder did as well, but Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and Jay Crowder went over 25 minutes for the starters. Marcus Smart, 6 for 11 shooting. Let's see if that's going to turn the corner going into the playoff times. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. Jaylen Brown, I think, starting to come back around. He was pulled early in this game because of a mistake, but it came back in, played well, so didn't hang his head. He was a little upset, but altogether, give him credit. The Celtics now 2, 3, 8 of their last 10, so that's good. They just, sputtered a little bit. You look at the every 20 game marks. The Celtics had gone 12-8 their first 20, then 13-7, 13-7, and right now they are 12-5. So let's see if they can finally improve that. But certainly never dropping below. They didn't improve from the second quarter of 13. I mean, you had the 2 games, but basically a quarter, 20 games from the 13-7, 13-7. They can up this to at least 14-6. That shows improvement consistently throughout the season. 14-6 is a 70 win percentage for a quarter of a season. That's very good there. Of course, with their schedule now, we'll look at that. You got the Cleveland game coming up. That's going to be the big thing. What is it? 3 left at home, 3 left on the road, or no, 2 left on the road, 3 left at home. Moving forward, so you have Cleveland this week coming up. Cleveland, Atlanta, and Charlotte. The Cleveland's at home. Atlanta and Charlotte are on the road. Atlanta is going to be that game after the Cavaliers, so that's going to be interesting. Atlanta, a playoff team, but has been struggling, so we'll see. That it's going to be decided there, if you ask me. That Cleveland, Atlanta back-to-back. Celtics at least have to win one of the two of them. Certainly, if you were going to win one, you would prefer the Cleveland game. But I think if they lose both, which is certainly possible, playing at home and then traveling down to Atlanta, that's really going to hurt their chances. So keep an eye on that. And then after this week, they only have 2 more games to finish the season. Those are at home. But, we'll see what happens with this week, because we got a big week coming up for the Celtics, of course, with the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So all eyes are going to be on that. But nice victory by the Celtics today, cruising for most of the game. Another note, Isaiah Thomas, only 19 points. His 30-point streak was broken. It was going to be very difficult, but, the way he had been playing, there was the potential he might be able to get himself up to 30. That's almost impossible. I mean, it was very, very unlikely coming into the game, but almost impossible now with only the 19. I'm not putting anything on him because he didn't play that many minutes because they had a big lead. The 50, 40, 90, again, was probably less likely than the 30-point average. But, that would be one of the things. If he could get to 30 or get to a 50, 40, 90, would certainly bolster his MVP consideration. But, it just doesn't seem like he's getting the fanfare. He's getting the fanfare from the Celtics, but the love outside in the national media, it's already basically decided between Westbrook and Harden. But I figured something like that, a 30-point average or a 50, 40, 90 would certainly bolster his profile. But the 50, 40, 90, he didn't hurt that today with the way he shot. But that's, still highly unlikely. But we'll see what happens. But, of course, the big game against Cleveland coming up, so we'll be tuning in for that. Remember, we appreciate all subscriptions as well. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.